Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour. UN Climate Change Summit opens in Dubai. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi among world leaders to discuss tackling climate change. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the beneficiaries of the Prasar Bharati Sankalp Yatra. Aim is to create awareness about welfare schemes launched by the Indian government. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed hails India as a champion of South-South cooperation, highlights the country's exemplary leadership in addressing global challenges. Israel and the Hamas renew hostage swap deal minutes before ceasefire deadline. Humanitarian aid keeps arriving. And Henry Kissinger, American diplomat and Nobel laureate, dies at 100. He played a pivotal role in U.S. foreign policy during the Cold War. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will attend the UN Climate Change Conference in the UAE. He will leave for Dubai on Thursday evening local time. Now, Prime Minister Modi will deliver his address at the opening session of the summit.
Prime Minister will also be participating in 3 high-level side events, of which 2 are being co-hosted by India. The first high-level event, which is being co-hosted by India and the UAE, is the launch of Green Credits Initiative. The second side event, co-hosted by India and Sweden, is the launch of Lead IT 2.0, essentially a leadership group for energy transition. Honorable Prime Minister will also be participating in another high-level event, which is titled Transforming Climate Finance, which is to be hosted by the presidency of the COP28, that is the UAE.
Now, Prime Minister Modi will participate in 3 high-level side events, of which 2 are being co-hosted by India. The first high-level event being co-hosted by India and the UAE is the launch of the Green Credits Initiative. It will foster collaboration among decision makers and bring together public and private sectors with the objective of accelerating the transition to net zero emissions.
India submitted its enhanced NDCs, nationally determined contributions, before COP27, and also submitted a long-term development strategy to pursue our goal of net zero emissions by 2070. India is among the few large economies which are on track to meet its nationally determined contributions. Also noteworthy that in recent years, under the vision and personal guidance of Honorable Prime Minister, India has taken a leadership role in shaping the global agenda on climate and environment, including through focusing on this issue in the 2 Voice of Global South Summit organized by India, first in January this year and most recently the one earlier this month.
As the COP28 begins in Dubai, India's cement industry leader Dalmia Cement has encouraged global corporations to integrate green solutions. Cement industry is collaborating with government to reduce carbon footprint while meeting growth needs. Tapas Bhattacharya reports from Dubai.
So you are one of those very few countries who have been working on, this kind of, carbon footprint, neutral carbon footprint, and working on sustainability. Tell us more about how do you guys manage to, come so far, practicing this kind of, theory where you believe that a carbon footprint should be minimized as much as possible.
Yeah. Basically, it's in our culture that how we can conserve environment, how we can use less resources, how we can start resource efficiency. And with that background in mind, we initiated a philosophy which is clean and green is profitable and sustainable, which means that yes, if you do any sustainable activity, in time to come it can be profitable, and vice versa also. So we crafted our certain schemes by which we could bring down the carbon emissions which comes out of cement manufacture, and at the same time we have seen in time to come it has been added to our profitability also. So today, with all proud, we can say that carbon footprints of Dalmia Cement are one of the lowest in global cement world. As well, we are also having one of the highest profitability.
Tell us also about the fact that you guys have been invited here in COP28. What will be the mood inside when you guys will be going? You guys will be putting forth the point of view of the cement industry, and it is one of the largest emission industry in the world.
The need in COP28 and the expectation which we have from COP28 is, one, they should agree that yes, these are the clean technologies which should be tried out. Second, the climate finance or green finance should come forward for supporting those technologies usage. We are also ready to put our own money also. But since it's a huge money, and we do feel that these are the projects which are for the betterment of not only Dalmia Cement, not only cement sector, but for the whole globe also.
Yeah.
India's Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bhupender Yadav, inaugurated the India Pavilion at COP28 in Dubai. The theme of the India Pavilion is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. In other words, the world is one family. While addressing the gathering, the minister said that the pavilion indicates India's commitment to environment-friendly policies. He said the next 12 days, all the stakeholders will be discussing various issues such as loss and damage fund and climate finance. All right, moving on, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi today virtually interacted with the beneficiaries of the government's welfare schemes under the outreach program called Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra. It aims to create awareness about welfare schemes launched by the Indian government across the nation.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with the beneficiaries of the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra on Thursday via video conferencing. PM also launched Drone Didi program. Under the initiative, drones will be provided to women self-help groups so that this technology can be used by them in agriculture sector. A total of 15,000 drones will be provided to women SHGs in the next 3 years.
मेरे लिए तो ये ड्रोन दीदी को नमन का कार्यक्रम है, और इसलिए मैं तो इस कार्यक्रम का नाम देता हूं नमो ड्रोन दीदी, नमो ड्रोन दीदी, नमो ड्रोन दीदी। ये हमारी नमो ड्रोन दीदी जो है, ये आज लॉन्च हो रही है। ये नमो ड्रोन दीदी, ताकि हर गांव ड्रोन दीदी को नमस्ते करता रहे, हर गांव ड्रोन दीदी को नमन करता रहे। ऐसा वातावरण मुझे बनाना है, इसलिए मैंने योजना का नाम भी मेरे से कुछ लोगों ने सुझाया है, नमो ड्रोन दीदी। अगर गांव जैसे कहेगा नमो ड्रोन दीदी, तब तो हमारी हर दीदी का मान सम्मान बढ़ जाएगा।
Prime Minister also launched a program to increase the number of Jan Aushadhi Kendras in the country from 10,000 to 25,000. This is the largest ever endeavour to reach all the Gram Panchayats of the country. More than 2.5 lakh Gram Panchayats will be covered over 2 months with a van, IEC van, and several departments participating. It is believed that under this scheme, 100% beneficiaries should be covered.
इस देश का कोई भी गरीब, चाहे वो जन्म से कुछ भी हो, मुझे उसका जीवन स्तर सुधारना है, उसे गरीबी से बाहर निकालना है। इस देश का कोई भी हुआ, चाहे भी उसकी जाति कुछ भी हो, मुझे उसके लिए रोजगार के, स्वरोजगार के नए अवसर देने हैं। इस देश की कोई भी महिला, चाहे उसकी जाति कोई भी हो, कुछ भी हो, मुझे उसे सशक्त करना है। उसके जीवन से मुश्किलें कम करनी है। उसके सपने जो दबे पड़े हैं ना, उन सपनों को पंख देनी है, संकल्प से भरना है और सिद्धि तक उसके साथ रह करके मैं उसके सपने पूरे करना चाहता हूं। इस देश का कोई भी किसान, चाहे उसकी जाति कुछ भी हो, मुझे उसकी आय बढ़ानी है, मुझे उसका सामर्थ्य बढ़ाना है, मुझे उसकी खेती को आधुनिक बनानी है।
Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is being undertaken across the country with the aim to attain saturation of flagship schemes of the government through ensuring that the benefits of these schemes reach all targeted beneficiaries in a time-bound manner. Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra was launched by the Indian Prime Minister on 15th of November from India's eastern state of Jharkhand. Under Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra, 17 schemes have been identified for rural areas and 17 different schemes for urban areas. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay reports.
And joining us is Mr. Prafulla Ketkar. Mr. Ketkar is the editor of Organizer Weekly. Mr. Ketkar, for the benefit of viewers joining us from India and around the world, what's the thought process behind the Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra?
Namaste to all. See, please try and understand. Viksit Bharat Sankalpa Yatra is a symbol of resolution of common Indian masses to make India a developed country. But to India becoming a developed country, there has to be, inclusion and taking all the schemes to the last man standing. What the present government has been talking about, Sabka Vikas or Antyoday, where the fruits of the scheme should reach to the last man. But that is not sufficient. So what this Yatra intends to do is actually, especially in the rural and the tribal areas, the schemes are being taken to the grassroots level. And today what Prime Minister has done, he has inquired about their experiences about the schemes. So it was a feedback mechanism. What beneficiaries think about the scheme. Like people from border areas of Jammu Kashmir, they, one of the Sarpanch there, a village head, she shared her experiences about benefits of these schemes. And in turn, government can make necessary, amendments in the implementation of the scheme. At the same time, they can share each other's experiences. So it will be a kind of real inclusion process. Till now, there was a thought process about either poverty elevation or Atmanirbhar Bharat, but that to realize that thought process on the ground, that inclusion is necessary. And for that, in democracy, the education of people about what government policies are and how they can take benefit of it, I think this Viksit Bharat Sankalp Yatra is going to play a critical role in that process.
Indeed, Mr. Ketkar, we heard the Prime Minister address the beneficiaries there as well. He touched upon two key programs. One was the Namo Drone Didi and the second one was the Jan Aushadhi Kendras or centers. Let me start with the drone program. Do you think it will be a game changer?
Oh, certainly. This drone scheme, earlier many people were skeptical how it would be. But this Pradhan Mantri Mahila Kisan Drone Kendra, that is a woman-centric drone center, right, would be actually providing through self-help groups various services related to, with the help of drones, to the entire village. So what we have been talking about and what we actually propagated during the G20 summit also, that India stands for not just woman participatory or woman oriented, but woman-led development. Now this Namo Drone Didi is going to provide various services, whether it is related to various agricultural activities, various even small-scale industrial activities, and when that entire supply chain is controlled by a woman's self-help group, and that Namo Drone Didi would be identified as the center of all these activities. Right. It is a beautiful integration of technology with the requirements of villages, where livelihood assistance would be given, additional income would be provided through the self-help groups, and it is in a way what we thought about that rural, where the rural settings will get the urban technology, right, and women will take that technology to the masses through various services. So I think it would be a very interesting way, because women anyways, we have seen in the cooperative sector, we have seen self-help groups, they have innovative ways to, use technology for the collective benefit. So I think it will encourage villagers to use technology in agriculture, at the same time give a new kind of respect, inclusion, and livelihood opportunities for women in India's rural settings.
Indeed, and Mr. Ketkar, I also want you to quickly touch upon the government plans to increase the number of Jan Aushadhi Kendras. It's another landmark program of the government, isn't it?
Yeah, Jan Aushadhi Kendras, the number will be increased from 10,000 to 25,000 now. They are, it is another way of inclusion, health inclusion. Mm-hmm. So people receive full benefits of the, health, making healthcare affordable and accessible, because Jan Aushadhi Kendras make medicines available at affordable price, right, with the major initiative that government has taken. So the same combination of medicines will be provided to through Jan Aushadhi Kendras with the increased numbers.
Indeed, as Mr. Ketkar pointed out, this last program, the Jan Aushadhi Kendras, the intent or the aim is to ensure the last mile delivery of affordable and accessible healthcare needs to a large cross-section of the population spread across the length and breadth of this country. Mr. Ketkar, thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. Israel and the Hamas agreed to extend their truce by one more day. At least one person has been killed and 8 injured in a shooting in Jerusalem. And Japan asks the US to ground aircraft after one crashed into the sea on Wednesday.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future, because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. At least 3 people were killed and 8 injured in a shooting in Jerusalem. The Israeli police says that 2 Palestinians behind the attack were neutralized on the spot. A large number of ambulances and police converged on the scene of the shooting, which took place during morning rush hour at one of the entrances to the city. According to local media reports, the shooters opened fire near a bus stop. Israel and the Hamas have agreed to extend their truce by at least one more day, just minutes before their six-day ceasefire was about to end. The Israeli army said that the truce will continue as mediators sought to secure the release of more hostages held by Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners. On Wednesday, the Hamas freed 16 hostages in exchange for 30 Palestinian prisoners. But both sides have maintained that the fighting will resume. Earlier, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the Hamas will be eliminated.
At the start of the war, I set 3 goals. Eliminating Hamas, returning all our hostages, and ensuring that Gaza will never again go back to being a threat to Israel. These 3 goals still stand. There is no situation in which we do not go back to fighting until the end. This is my policy. The entire cabinet is behind it. The entire government is behind it. The soldiers are behind it. The people are behind it. This is exactly what we will do.
Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who is currently in Israel, hailed the truce between the Israel and the Hamas, saying that the pause in fighting has demonstrated success in securing the freedom of the hostages and in delivering humanitarian aid to Gaza. Blinken will be meeting top Israeli leaders in Tel Aviv. He's also expected to travel to West Bank, where he will likely call on Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. This is the top U.S. diplomat's 3rd trip to the region since the 7th October Hamas attacks in Israel. And my colleague Sarah Coates now joins us live from Tel Aviv. Sarah, what can you tell us about the release of more hostages held by the Hamas in exchange for Palestinian prisoners?
Hello there, Ramesh. Well, look, under this deal, it will have the same sort of framework as the ones we've seen before. It means that Hamas must release women and children, at least 10 of those per day, while Israel will release 30 Palestinian prisoners. Now, we did see a number of people released overnight, Hamas handing them over to the International Red Cross before they were brought back to Israel. We know there were 12 Israeli women and teenagers and also 4 Thai captives. These were farm workers who were captured down in the south of Israel when Hamas stormed that region on October 7. We do understand that these Thai workers will be on their way back to Bangkok a little later today. But with regards to these other prisoners who are expected to be released tonight, we know that there will be 30 more Palestinian prisoners, but this time reportedly only 8 Israeli women and children. And this is because there were more captives handed over last night. So look, the Prime Minister's office says it has notified the families that these people are set to be coming out. But there is a lot of diplomacy expected to happen today to try and keep this extension rolling over to try and get more people, more captives out of the Gaza Strip. Ramesh.
Also, Sarah, what are the chances that the ceasefire or truce would be extended beyond another day? What have you been able to pick up?
Well, look, this is why there's so much diplomacy, as I said, and this is one of the reasons why the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, is here in the region, his 3rd visit since those October 7 attacks. He'll be pushing for a more durable truce, really also pushing for a lot of aid to go into the Gaza Strip. But it really depends on the Israelis, and it also depends on Hamas here. Israel has been saying that it's not willing to extend any more of these ceasefires until after Sunday, saying it will go back into the Gaza Strip and finish off what it's been stating. And this is to end Hamas, to make sure attacks like this never happen again. But look, there is a lot of pressure, of course, from the international community for a full ceasefire, a full truce. We heard that yesterday from the UN's Antonio Guterres. He said that the only way forward is through a full ceasefire, really stressing the dire situation that's being seen, that's unfolding right now in the Gaza Strip. But look, we have heard this from Israel, that there will be no not fighting in the Strip, and this is what we are expecting to see in the coming days.
Indeed, we leave it at that. Sarah Coates in Tel Aviv, thank you for now. Appreciate it. And shifting our focus now to the Ukraine-Russia conflict, Russia has said that it regained control of a village in the Donetsk and that it defeated 3 brigades of the Ukrainian army in the direction of Zaporizhia. The Ukrainian Air Defense Forces said that they have destroyed 14 of 20 drones launched by Russia. Ukraine added that the Russian forces launched Iranian-made drones. Calling the U.S. double-faced, North Korea said it will never hold negotiations over its sovereignty with Washington, D.C. Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un and a senior official herself, said that Washington, D.C. was offering talks while ramping up military activities in the region. Kim Yo-jong also inspected photographs of a U.S. naval base and an air base in Japan taken by a spy satellite recently launched by Pyongyang. The U.S. and its allies have condemned the satellite launch, saying that it violated the United Nations resolutions. In more news from the Indo-Pacific, Japan has asked the U.S. military to ground its V-22 Osprey aircraft after one crashed into the sea on Wednesday in western Japan, killing at least 1 person on board. The U.S. Air Force, which was operating the hybrid aircraft, says the cause of the mishap is currently not known. Japan's Ground Self-Defense Force, which also operates Ospreys, will suspend flights of the aircraft until the circumstances of the incident are clarified. This, according to a senior Defense Ministry official. Former U.S. Secretary of State Henry Kissinger has died at the age of 100. He was one of the most controversial figures in U.S. foreign policy, serving under Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford. DD India's Ira Spitzer has more from San Francisco.
Born to a Jewish family in Germany in 1923, Henry Kissinger fled the Nazis at the age of 15, moving to New York with his family. He rose to prominence in the 1960s, becoming the National Security Advisor to U.S. President Richard Nixon in 1968 and later Secretary of State as well. Kissinger wielded tremendous power and is credited with being the architect of the U.S. establishing diplomatic relations with China in the 1970s. Kissinger was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973 for his work to end the Vietnam War. But like many things in his life, that was controversial. Critics pointed to his previous involvement in expanding that Vietnam conflict, as well as the U.S.'s secret bombing campaign in Cambodia during the height of the war, as evidence that Kissinger put what he thought were U.S. interests above all else, including human rights. Kissinger's influence was felt around the globe, with his diplomatic approach shaping events in Africa, the Middle East, and South America, as well as Asia. In South America, his support for military coups against the democratically elected governments in Chile and Argentina was, for his detractors, further evidence of a questionable diplomatic approach. However, Kissinger remained an important figure right up until the end of his life through his consultancy and counseling U.S. politicians and many others. Just this summer, he visited Beijing and met with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Well, Henry Kissinger leaves behind a complicated legacy. Few people have had as big of an impact on the events that shaped the world. Ira Spitzer reporting in San Francisco for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. India's government signs a peace agreement with the oldest armed group in the northeastern state of Manipur.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs. with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
Turning crisis into opportunity, transforming ideas into action, stories of real change, tales of sustainable solution.
This series is going to tell stories of such change makers.
Watch Change Makers on DD India.
A platform for the developing world, amplifying the voice of the global south with a focus on the growing economies, resolving the conflicts, showcasing the culture, tradition, heritage and diversity. Watch Voice of the Global South at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. UN Climate Change Summit opens in Dubai. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi among world leaders to discuss tackling climate change. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacts with the beneficiaries of the Prasar Bharati Sankalp Yatra. Aim is to create awareness about welfare schemes launched by the Indian government. United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed hails India as a champion of South-South cooperation, highlights the country's exemplary leadership in addressing global challenges. And the Israel and Hamas renew hostage swap deal minutes before ceasefire deadline. Humanitarian aid keeps arriving. In the new era of peace agreement, the United National Liberation Front, or the UNLF, signed a peace agreement with the Indian government as well as the government of Manipur.
In a historic development, the Government of India and Government of Manipur signed a peace agreement with the United National Liberation Front, UNLF, the oldest valley-based armed group of Manipur, in India's national capital, New Delhi, on Wednesday. Manipur is a state in northeast India. In a social media post, India's Home Minister Amit Shah shared the information. He said, "The peace agreement signed today with the UNLF by the Government of India and the Government of Manipur marks the end of a 6-decade-long armed movement. It is a landmark achievement in realizing Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's vision of all-inclusive development and providing a better future to the youth in northeast India." The peace agreement took place days after the UNLF, along with several other extremist organizations, was banned by India's Ministry of Home Affairs. The decision was taken after the centre felt these organizations are indulging in attacks on and killing of security forces, police and civilians in Manipur in northeast India. Now let's understand UNLF and when was it established. UNLF is the oldest Meitei insurgent group in the northeastern state of Manipur. It was founded on November 24, 1964 under Aryambam Samrendra Singh. In the 70s and the 80s, the group concentrated mainly on mobilization and recruitment. In 1990, it decided to launch an armed struggle for the liberation of Manipur from India. In the same year, it formed an army wing called Manipur People's Army. UNLF, based in Myanmar also, is the first valley-based outfit to come to negotiating table. Formed in 1964, UNLF had until now resisted peace overtures, remained adamant on their demand for a separate state. It is hoped that the return of UNLF to the mainstream will also encourage other valley-based armed groups to participate in the peace process in due course.
And joining me, Mr. Deepak Danan. Mr. Danan, welcome to DD India News Hour. How would you describe or characterize this peace agreement?
Well, I think you must know that till now, none of the 8 or 10 outfits from the valley, I mean the Meitei outfits, none of them had come forward for peace talks. And this is the beginning. And I hope that other outfits will also follow this faction of UNLF. I must tell you, UNLF has two factions. This faction, which signed this peace pact yesterday, is led by K. Pambai. It's known as Pambai faction of the UNLF, and they have about 65 strong cadres, armed cadres. But after their camp in Myanmar at Thanan was overrun by PDF. PDF is another ethnic rebel group which is fighting with Myanmar army also. They had to leave, abandon everything and enter Manipur. This happened on November 22nd, not long ago. So, and around, it is estimated that while they were inside Manipur, there are about 200 youth, those who are fighting this ethnic war with the Kukis, also joined this group. So along with them, they have surrendered altogether. I think the number should be more than 250 or so. The exact number we are yet to know.
Sure.
So this is the first Meitei group to come for peace pact, and the others, I hope they would follow, because see, the situation in Myanmar is also compelling these people to leave Myanmar, and they have no other place to go. And as I told you, the PDF, which is People's Defense Force, is also on ethnic lines. There are more Chin Kuki rebels that side. So with the infighting going on inside Manipur between Kukis and Meiteis, so all these Meitei outfits are also being targeted. You will very soon see more Meitei outfits following this UNLF faction.
Mr. Diwan, I'm sure many people watching this broadcast would also be curious to know a little more about the UNLF. If you could talk to viewers about its origins and its track record over the past many years now.
See, I've been covering the Northeast region more than 40 years. When I started visiting Manipur in the 80s, that time UNLF name was heard, but it had not done anything publicly. I mean, they had not started the armed struggle. They were in the process of recruitment, this and that. That we all knew that this thing, this group exists, but they started their armed struggle, or what you call the movement, in the 90s. Right. So this is indeed a largest group of Meitei militancy. Now, as I told you, now there are two factions. One faction has signed yesterday, other faction which also has about 300 cadres. We hope that they should also follow the suit and come forward. Then, apart from them, there are other groups like KYKL, Pre-Pak, PLA. Their armed wing is called RPF. Then there's the KCP. There are factions of KCPs also. Then there are Corcom. All these outfits, Meitei outfits, they had formed a coordination committee, which is known as Corcom. So that, and plus Alliance for Socialist Unity, Kanglei Pak. This is another organization. All these were banned. Their ban was reviewed on 13th of May. And it was extended, the ban was extended for another 5 years. So I think the situation in Myanmar is helping us sort out militancy in Manipur.
Indeed.
And this UNLF came into existence in 1964, and they had quite a few educated fellows. Their earlier chairman, who was caught while he was crossing from he was crossing the international border, and he was arrested, kept in Guwahati jail. Sanayama, he now lives a normal life in Imphal after his release from the jail. So I think the chairman, also ex-chairman, must have also realized how difficult is the underground life, and now he's enjoying the benefit of being a normal civilian. So I think it's a very good beginning. When you look at it, see, living in Myanmar in this kind of circumstances is also not easy. And when you have one hand, they earlier all these groups enjoyed the patronage of Myanmar army. Right. So they were settled there, they were given protection, this and that. Now it has become difficult. Even the Myanmar army is taking shelter from the Mizoram border inside India. If you recall, recently a lot of soldiers had taken, refuge, and we put them back in Myanmar from Moray border.
Right.
They were airlifted from Mizoram, taken to Manipur, and allowed to go to Myanmar.
And finally, Mr. Devan, as you said, this is a good beginning. We are talking about Manipur, but what about the other states? Now, does this bode well for the Indian government's efforts to sign similar pacts with groups operating in the other northeastern states?
See, other states, if you look at it, we are having peace negotiations with the Nagas, NSCN, IM, and the other 7 factions of Naga militants. So we are all having peace talks with them, and similarly the Kuki group, 25 Kuki groups under the umbrella of their parent organization called KNO and UPF, they're also having a dialogue with Government of India. And recently, if you recall, the Meghalaya also received a message that one of their groups, the HN, it has got a local name, so they also came over ground. Government of India gave them free passage from across the border from Bangladesh. They came down to Shillong. They are there and they are having a dialogue. So I think it's the peace. Otherwise, if you look at it, only Assam, that Alpha, handful of cadres are there. They are also in Myanmar. So I think overall the present situation is helping Government of India find peace in Manipur.
Right. All right, we'll leave it at that. Mr. Devan, thank you once again for joining us and sharing your insights with our viewers at home and abroad. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on, United Nations Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed has hailed India as a champion of South-South cooperation. She says India has brought to life the philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, or the world is one interconnected family.
The India-UN Development Partnership Fund exemplifies this global commitment. India has long been a champion of South-South cooperation and the global pursuit of the SDGs, bringing to life its philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the world as one interconnected family. South-South cooperation not only distinguishes the India-UN Partnership Fund, but it also demonstrates the remarkable achievements that countries and the UN can accomplish when working together with developing nations across multiple SDGs.
As the presidency of G20 under India's leadership comes to an end today, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in an editorial article, wrote that this moment is to reflect, recommit and rejuvenate the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one earth, one family, one future. He said that India during its presidency sought to offer the world an alternative to status quo, a shift from a GDP-centric to human-centric progress. India aims to remind the world of what unites us rather than what divides us. The Indian Prime Minister also said that after a year of India's presidency, the G20 today is more inclusive, ambitious and action-oriented. The Prime Minister also lauded the first of its kind Voice of the Global South Summit convened by India in 2 editions, which heralded a new dawn of multilateralism. India's Foreign Secretary has highlighted India's commitment to help Global South in combating climate challenges. Take a listen.
Our approach to climate action is also reflected in our principled positions in the international negotiations and our global efforts to help the rest of Global South in combating this serious challenge of climate change, as also its impact on the development framework of the developing countries.
The Indian state of Telangana witnessed the start of polling for all 119 assembly seats on Thursday. The voter turnout was at 36.68% when reports last came in. Amid elaborate security and logistical arrangements, the deployment of several forces has been done at more than 12,000 sensitive polling station areas. Besides model polling stations, the election authorities have set up fully women-operated and fully specially abled operated polling stations with a determination to increase the turnout for polling, especially in the district of Hyderabad. Moving on, Ghana has a very active Indian community, and they came together in the capital Accra to celebrate the India Fest with multicultural performances and a display of India's rich heritage. DD India's Nabil Ahmed Rufai has more.
Indian culture on display in Accra. Hundreds of Indian nationals living in Ghana came together to celebrate this year's India Fest.
It's very exciting. It's you know, when you get to a place like this, you feel like home. You're far away from your country. You miss a lot of things. You not just miss people, miss your place, miss your home, but you also miss a lot of other things. For example, if you take a look around here, you will find a lot of foods of different parts of India. A lot of activities that is going on in the front with these stages. You get to meet a lot of cultural people, a lot of cultural activities which happens here.
The India High Commission in Ghana organized the event. At least 10 states in India were represented at this festival through various performances, including music, dance, and folklore. The unique Indian fashion was also showcased.
Indians, they have a very beautiful culture, beautiful clothes. I really like their clothes and all of that. I've gone to see their foods and all of that. I'm yet to taste some, yeah. So I think it's good, it's beautiful. I enjoyed their dancing.
The festival also created a platform for the exhibition of Indian crafts and cuisine. The festival provides an opportunity for local Ghanaians like me to try some Indian cuisine. It's my first time eating this masala toast, and it's delicious. For many, this festival helps them keep in touch with their roots, even while far away from home.
India, although having so many states, but we were as one nation together. So everybody is very happy, excited, as you can see. They're so happy, enjoying themselves, enjoying the food, meeting people. And sometimes you meet people here like only once a year. I met people only once a year. So this is a great opportunity, and the thanks should go to the Indian High Commission and his dedicated staff to have brought this event together.
Through this festival, organizers hope Indians living in Ghana can keep their traditions alive, and as children also get to participate in the performances, they believe their cultural heritage can be preserved. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, in Accra, Ghana, reporting for DD India.
And still to come on DD India News Hour. US retail giant Walmart cuts China imports, turns to India for everything from toys and electronics to pharmaceuticals and food. England Test skipper Ben Stokes undergoes surgery on his left knee with less than 2 months left before the start of the Test series in India.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts. We demystify complex social, political, and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
I'm Nick Harper from Washington, D.C.
Join us on DD India Global Monday to Friday at these times.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Ramesh Ramachandran. Move over China. According to a Reuters report, India is playing an increasingly important role in Walmart's supply chain, more goods from the country ranging from toys and electronics to pharmaceuticals and food. DD India's Tony Waterman reports.
According to this Reuters report, 25% of the items Walmart shipped to the U.S. between January and August of this year came from India, which is a massive jump from just 2% 5 years ago. And this sharp climb in imports from India appears to coincide with a decrease in Walmart's imports to the U.S. from China, which fell by a near equal amount during the same period. There are a few factors at play here. For one, it's become a lot more expensive for U.S.-based companies to import goods from China ever since the Trump administration slapped tariffs on more than $300 billion worth of Chinese goods. So companies like Walmart are looking for cheaper alternatives. Another reason is mounting political tensions between Beijing and Washington. Uncertainty is never good for business, and diversification of supply chains can help shield companies from future fallout, including from unpredictable snags like global pandemics. But there is also a broader strategic element at play. In recent years, Walmart has been making India a bigger part of its manufacturing base. In 2018, it bought a majority stake in the e-commerce giant Flipkart, and then just 2 years later, it pledged to import $10 billion worth of goods from India each year come 2027. And a top executive for Reuters said that the company was on track to meet that goal. Walmart also told Reuters that India's growing workforce and technological advancement has been a major draw for the company, especially as the population shrinks and ages in China. And Walmart now employs more than 100,000 workers across India. That being said, China remains Walmart's largest import market, at least for now. In Austin, Tony Waterman reporting for DD India.
And now to all the news from the world of sport with Deepika. Deepika, take it away.
Thanks and good afternoon, Ramesh. Welcome. First, let's get your viewers a quick update on Ben Stokes' health. Well, England Test skipper Ben Stokes underwent a surgery on his much-troubled left knee with less than 2 months left before the start of the Test series in India. Ben Stokes posted a picture of himself on crutches on social media platform X to confirm the procedure. Stokes, who was released by his Indian Premier League franchisee Chennai Super Kings on Sunday, now hopes to return to his all-rounder status next year. Stokes was used only as a batter in England's World Cup defence last month in India, where he came out of ODI retirement. Now, in the 2-2 Ashes series against Australia in the summer, he bowled just 29 overs across the first 2 tests and also opted not to bowl himself in the remainder of the series. England takes on India in a 5-match Test series starting the 25th of January in Hyderabad. Moving on to hockey now, the Indian team made a resounding start to its FIH Women's Junior Hockey World Cup campaign by securing a commanding 12-0 victory over Canada on Wednesday. Anu, Dipi, Monica Topo, Mumtaz Khan, Deepika Sureng and Neelam scored the goals for Team India. India began the match with an attacking approach and swiftly secured an early advantage as Anu scored 2 early goals through penalty corners. Now, despite taking a 2-goal lead, India persisted with its aggressive style and blasted Canada apart with 12 goals. India will next lock horns with Germany on Friday. Moving on to tennis courts now, Carlos Alcaraz wowed his fans with a straight sets victory over American Tommy Paul in an exhibition match. After taking a tight opener, the Spanish world number 2 cruised to a 7-6, 6-3 victory at Plaza Mexico in Mexico City. Earlier, Greece's Maria Sakkari, ranked 9th in the world, saw off former WTA world number 1 Caroline Wozniacki of Denmark by 6-3 and 6-4. Moving on to soccer pitches now, Manchester United faces elimination from the Champions League in the group stage as they drew 3-3 against Galatasaray in Istanbul on Wednesday. United have now conceded 14 goals in 5 European matches, and this result leaves the Premier League side at the bottom of Group A with 1 game remaining. In order to go through, they must now beat Bayern Munich at home next month and hope that Copenhagen and Galatasaray draw against each other. So that was a quick wrap from different sporting arenas, and back to Ramesh.
Thank you, Deepika. Much appreciated. And finally on this broadcast, crowds gathered in New York City's Midtown Manhattan on Wednesday for the 91st annual lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, officially kicking off the holiday season. The 2-hour ceremony witnessed star-studded performances. This year's tree is from the Monongahela National Forest in the U.S. state of West Virginia. It measures 40 feet and has more than 50,000 colored LED lights. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News. Let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website, ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour. Great, thank you.